View from the Gutters, episode 20.
Oh yes, it's ladies' night, and the feeling's right. Oh yes, it's ladies' night. Oh what a night. Oh what a night. Oh yes, it's ladies'.
Welcome to View from the Gutters, the comic book podcast where each episode we discuss a collected edition, trade paperback, or graphic novel, and then recommend and vote on the book for the next episode. Warning, the discussion portion of this show has massive spoilers for that book. On this episode, we discuss Whiteout, and to skip ahead to the recommendation section, skip ahead to 2713. All right, listener discretion, we discuss sexual assault and rape on this episode.
Hello, and welcome to Ladies' Night on View from the Gutters. I'm Kayleigh Fleeman.
I'm Amarantha Kost.
I'm Kirby 2000.
I'm Annjeanette Thompson.
And tonight we are talking about Whiteout by Greg Rucka and illustrated by Steve Lieber. So what are some initial thoughts on the book?
Boobs.
Boobs?
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
there were in fact ladies in the book.
there were ladies in the book. Yes. Yes.
I don't know, I think the initial impression I got from the book, at least the first time I read it, because I ended up rereading it because I got invited to come on the podcast, was that I really enjoyed the story, that it was, that was very much like, it was a detective story. Like, it wasn't, it didn't really divert away from that at all to become, like, anything other than, like, the story that it was. And I really enjoy black and white art and screen toning, so, like, I was just like, oh, it's so pretty sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you really get a feel for the blood when it's in black and white. Like, when it's, you're looking at the blood, when it's in color, it just loses something. Black and white, like, it's a
very
hardcore.
contrasty because it's like it's usually like it's either black or it's black on white or white on black. Just it's kind of interesting.
I thought it was cool because I hear a lot of people say about strong woman characters that like, oh yeah, you could totally just interchange her with a man and it would be the same story. But you don't get that with this because like women and men do have different aspects. They do have different sort of experiences in life, and you see that with the characters, how they're treated as women and how that translates to how they do things. But it doesn't take away from the story at all. It's just a part of it because that's a part of their lives.
I thought that there was like a really good strong connection, like sisterhood with them too. Like we had, can't remember her name, like the first main character, Carrie, yeah, and she was like, what's the other one's name, Lillian?
Lily.
Yeah. So, like, Carrie started out, and she was, like, alpha female. And then, like, Lillian shows up, and she's kind of, like, I think Carrie kind of struggled with that because she was the only girl for a while. But towards the end of the book, they have kind of, like, this bond, and they're like, okay, we'll take care of each other because we're the only real women here. Look out for each other. We gotta be tough, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that in the book. I thought they did a good job with forming that bond between them.
Yeah,
I definitely thought that was, like, an interesting dynamic, too, because originally, like, Carrie was kind of skeptical of Lily because, she's like a spy or something like that. But, like, once Lily became, once she, like, opened up to her, like, to what she actually did with the, what was it, like, there was something with, like, mining or something like that.
Yeah, minerals.
Yeah, mineral mining. It became, like, their bond became, like, better because, like, she was kind of skeptical of her, like, the entire time, regardless of, like, they're kind of, like, hey, we're, like, the only two people, like, working on this case, and we're the only two people, like, out here, and you, like, saved my butt, then their bond kind of became, like, a little bit tighter, like, because she didn't have to be like, you're a spy who's spying on me.
Yeah, I think the turning point really is, like, after she saves her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I almost felt like there was a sexual tension between them. Like, seriously, the setup is, like, they're both, like, equally alpha on their different parts of Antarctica, and then they come together, and they're all, like, sparking off each other, angry at each other, kind of, and then they save each other, and then it's, like, the looks that they have, and, like, the silent screens, it's just, like, tense. And, there's all this, like, male sexual energy just around all the time, because they're, like, the only females, like, that scene where she's like, okay, who's the prick? And, like, it's Lily, and it's in the middle of, like, a sausage fest where they're all, like, sitting around watching hardcore porn.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's, I don't know. It's, like...
Yeah. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Other thing, and this is kind of weird to say, but I appreciate, like, the injuries in it. It wasn't like, oh no, oh my god, I got shot, like it is in like in everything. It was like your hand gets severe frostbite. It gets stuck to a door that like because of how cold it is, and when she takes her hand off the door and the skin gets ripped off, that does damage, because it would do damage in real life. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we bandage up your hand, you get to keep all of your fingers, you're having a great time.
Yeah, there's actual consequence to the shit that they do, regardless of whether it's like just like neutral shit, like I opened a door.
Yeah.
It's like there's consequence to that.
Yeah. I really liked how it kind of showed how alone they were too. Like when she does get her hand stuck to the door, it's like no one was there to be like, okay, well, we'll warm it up for you or whatever. Yeah. It was just like she was like, I have to do this to survive, and nobody else was there. And then they had to like go send a search party and get her and stuff. Yeah. And then they were like, oh yeah, by the way, not only were you like alone forever, but you don't get to keep your fingers.
Yeah, you get to keep 3 of your fingers.
Yeah, and till at that point, kind of what you were saying earlier with the whole like interchanging the character with like a guy, I think like it really kind of like is to the benefit of this book for like having female characters, because the characters themselves, like they're really capable in what they do, and like it's just kind of like they're really strong female characters, like regardless of the situation that they're in, because the sense of the thing is so story oriented, and like so like the detective story like is the entire story. There's no like little like side stories really to it. It kind of just shows you like how capable they are with their jobs, and like how strong of like lady characters they are, which I definitely really enjoyed.
I also really enjoyed that there was no love story. That's so nice to not have one in a character, or like in a story that features a woman. Like she almost always has like, even if she's like a strong character, it's like oh, I'm so strong and tough, but now I want a man and a white picket fence because that's my lot in life. Like, there was none of that, because she hangs out with these men in Antarctica all the time. Like, she knows who they are. She doesn't care about them, sort of. Like, she cares about them in the way that she's, like, the sheriff, but she doesn't care about them in the way where it's like, I'm only looking for love.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's an alternative love story, I think, because, like, there's a backstory of the divorce, and, like, she's, like, you don't know what happens. You assume at the beginning that maybe she fucked it up, right? She like messed it up so bad that she had to go to Antarctica.
With her husband?
Yeah, because
her husband died from cancer.
No, I know, but you don't see that till the end.
Like,
no, I know. Like, but at the beginning,
at
the beginning, like the panel sets you up to believe something, or can lead you down a wrong path with her. So it's kind of like. Yeah, you're automatically assuming there's going to be a love interest because it's a female protagonist. And automatically in the narratives that we're often given, it's like she's going to end up with the guy who fixes her in some way. And in this one, you begin with the wedding picture where she looks so happy, and she's with this guy, and you're like, okay, what went wrong? Because she's not happy anymore, And you don't know until the end that actually there was a great love, and he died, and that love still is present. And there's kind of like some overlap with the panels when Lily comes in after she loses her fingers. Like, Lily kind of takes the place of her when she's ministering to her husband that's dying. So it's like there's, what is that? It's not foreshadowing. It's like an alteration sort of thing. Like it's like a throwback, I guess is what you would call it. Like just sort of like an illusion. Like
it's past shadowing.
Yeah. You're alluding to something that had happened in the past. So.
No, I also kind of enjoyed, like, that there was sort of, like, like, you kind of get a little bit of a glimpse into her past, but, like, that wasn't the point of the story. Like, it definitely, like, it encompassed maybe, like, 3 or 4 panels total. It was just, like, here's a picture of her husband. Who's that guy? And then, like, later, it's, like, 2 panels, it's like, yeah, he died from cancer. Like, oh, that's sad. It's just, like, but, like, the story is so, the guys are murdered. Who did it? Oh no! And instead of it being like, oh, look at my long lost husband, I'm gonna be sad and morose about him the entire book.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, have any of you read the second volume?
No.
It's basically her wanting to get a D. Like not completely, but it's like it's kind of like while this one was like it's more there's more like to a relationship that she like forges with this guy and then he just like ends up leaving or whatever. But like I don't know, this one compared to that one, I like it a lot more because this is very much like these women are doing a job. And that's the story, like, it's them doing their job, and I like them being so fucking capable at their job. I enjoy it so much more than, like, had it been about, like, her being sad about her husband or something, or anything like that, or her, like, finding a new love in somewhere.
I mean, if she didn't have some sort of, like, heart, you wouldn't really buy into her. She'd just be, like, this, you know, this alpha bitch out there to, like, prove everybody wrong, and I mean, she'd be a one-dimensional, like, pseudo-feminist contraption that a man was riding, you know?
You know, I kind of get glimpses of her being, like, you know, a little bit of, like, having a little bit of heart in other places, like, when she interacts with some of the, like, the more standoffish characters, because you kind of have, like, the mob of males that just kind of are a character in and of themselves, and then you have, like, you know, like, the doctor, and then, like, the guy in the, I think it was the chapel or something like that. Like, she had a little bit of an interaction with him at the very beginning. And it's just, like, those characters she has, like, it's, like, a more warm relationship with those characters than, like, anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you get a feeling that she's been there long.
Yeah.
And Delphi and Furry, those are the folks that have been there a long time. And so, yeah, she's forged relationships with those people. Whereas, yeah, the guys that are just, like, there for the summer months and then leave, she doesn't give a rat's, you know, about them. And it's cool, because, you know, she could be, like, I don't know, what's her face? Something Fire, Starfire or something. There's, like, a character that's highly promiscuous.
Starfire.
Yeah, Starfire. That's, like, she is, like, she's kind of like a feminist icon because she's pro-sex. But then in a way, it, like, becomes this whole other, like, horrible anti-feminist
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that where I've seen a lot of articles that kind of use her as an example of, like, hey, look at these ridiculous poses she's doing all the time. This ridiculous shit she's wearing. And then, like, because she's, like, that's great that she's, like, progressive when it comes to that kind of stuff and to just, like, have a character like that. But when you sort of, like, put it under the banner of, like, look at this really hot chick with the giant boobies and look at all this little shit she wears, you know, it's just kind of, it becomes, like, I don't know if you are really, like, sincere about that, like, progressive statement that you made, or if you just want to see this chick have lots of boobies out.
Yeah.
But, like, I see it, like, articles and stuff that use her as an example to, like, they'll, like, end up drawing, like, guys with, like, the same poses, or, like, kind of like the Hawkeye initiative where they draw the Hawkeye and, like, the weird lady poses. But they'll use her, like, Starfire's outfits to, like, be like, why is she wearing this? This is, what is this?
Like, you get the same thing with Catwoman, too, especially, where it's like, oh, yeah, she's so strong and awesome and pro-feminist, and then she's in these skin-tight leather suits and poses that are physically impossible that show off her boobs and her butt somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's, like, it's, like, something with, this whole, like, thing that's, it's something about it being, like, empowering to females, because it's like, well, they get to be super strong, but they also get to be super sexy at the same time, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's okay if you want that, but you kind of act like this is what all ladies want, and that's why it should be empowering to all ladies, but it's kind of not.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's important that women control their sexuality, or that there are strong female characters that have sex and aren't stigmatized by having sex. I think that's a pretty important thing, and I think Carrie kind of brings that to the front too in Whiteout, because she has had sex and she's been married and all of that, so it's not like she's some Vestal virgin that's sent to Antarctica to figure things out. which I think...
Or she's just, like, a super bitch prude.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like,
Well, and, like, that's a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
you know...
Well, I mean, it's, like, it's usually, like, sort of, like, you either get, like, the virgin whore dichotomy, or it's like, oh, well, if you're a prude, or if you're just not interested, like, you must be a super bitch, like, character, because these are, like, tropes that just kind of end up happening
Yeah.
a lot.
Well, it even pops up because the guys are calling her frigid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was the rumors at the beginning when they're like, oh, she's frigid, or she's a dyke, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's probably just kind of been there, done that, and she's moving on, sort of thing. Like we were talking about before, like she doesn't need a man in her life. Like she did have one, but now she's moved on to her work, which has become her life. And
Yeah, I definitely get the feeling that she's like really like head into her work.
Mm-hmm. Married to the job.
Yeah. She just can't turn off.
Yep.
But she's broken in a way, too. I mean, the incident that sends her there in the first place, which you don't know, is where she kills that guy, the prisoner, right?
Yeah.
So that's why she's been...
Yeah, because he was like being like a super creep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like her supervisor made the wrong call and kept the guy in the hotel room with her. And then, of course, he gets his ass handed to him, and then she has to finish the job.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's a really damaging, traumatic event for her.
Yeah. Speaking of that part, like I really, really enjoyed that part of the book specifically because the style of the art in that section is kind of different from the rest of the book, where most of the book relies a lot on using like screen tones and really dark patches of black to like just make the scene or whatever. That part, the lines are a lot thinner in her hallucination or like flashback, I guess. And it uses a lot more like cross hatching and stuff to set the scene, so it looks totally different, like, but with the same guy's art style. But I really enjoyed it because it wasn't just like, oh, let's just make the boxes different, or let's just make it look funny. Like, they actually, like, it looks almost older than the rest of the book, like, whereas like the rest of it's very clear and like crisp. It's more loose, and it's more airy, I guess. It's a lot lighter than the rest of the... Yeah, it's softer, even though he's still using, like, the same techniques to illustrate it as he does in the rest of the book. I just really enjoyed that because it kind of, like, you know, she's hallucinating at the same time, so it's kind of, like, it really works for that section, I think. Like, it's brilliant. I really like it.
Yeah, and she's not like... She's not like, what do you call it? Usually with a rape scene or attempted rape scene, it's almost gratuitous, like, nudity for women, because it's a way for readers to kind of, like, have that fantasy kind of visually.
Or even just an automatic sympathy, like, she was almost raped. Like, they just hold up the, like, almost raped card or raped card.
Yeah.
And it's like, now you have to feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Like, so they don't even really, like, go through, like, with showing the whole thing or even what really, like, all the way happened. Because I almost get the impression, like, I don't really know, like, did she get raped or did she, like, not? And she just killed the guy because he was, like...
Trying to.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't really know, to be
And
honest.
it doesn't...
I don't know how far it went because most of it was just, like, she got hit and then the guy was dead. Like, oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, well, like, some of the positions, like him on her back, like, those are classic rape poses.
Yeah.
And the fact that she still has her
She
clothes
still had all her clothes on
on.
still, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
I
just
mean...
like, I don't know what happened, but she's hallucinating too,
Yeah.
so, like, part of it's, like, you know, I also don't know if it's anything in that hallucination is partly bred from the stuff that had been going on in her case at the same time. So it's like, I wonder about that kind of stuff too. Even if
Yeah.
it is very clear, like,
Yeah, I think...
this is the thing that happened in the past, but I always wonder about that kind of stuff because she's just hallucinating.
Well, but it's real within the context of the story, and I think the way that Rucka handles it is just phenomenal because as a man, he may not have understood, like, or he could have just been like, well, I didn't really fully appreciate, like, how this could be viewed by a woman, but I think he's really in touch, like, he's really a feminist man, like, so he treated something that could have been actually a traumatic event for a woman reading the story as, well, he treated it with I think the right honoring and the right I don't know how to
Weight.
explain it. The Weight, yeah. Yeah, I read Keeper, which is his novel about pro-choice stuff. And it's really refreshing. I think that we're seeing a group of men that have grown up with feminist women raising them or, like, influencing them, like Whedon. I mean, it's phenomenal that men can write stories that are not just going to traumatize or re-traumatize us ladies when they're telling stories about these things that happen.
Things that are like real issues.
Yeah.
Like women.
Yeah, 1 in 4.
With
It's
women.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think it's really good. And Lieber's, really good about that. Because you can tell she's softer, because like you were talking about with the lines. She's definitely softer in those, but it's a turning point.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the story of how Steve Lieber came to be the artist for it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that at the very end?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Like,
I didn't read it either.
I was like, words. No, there are pictures here.
I guess Rucka was like looking for an artist to illustrate it. He had it like all written out, but he couldn't find a good artist or something. And then somebody was like, "Oh, hey, there's this guy. He hasn't really worked on anything, but he draws some pretty cool things." So he went up to his booth at like a convention or something and then bought like $50 worth of prints. And then he's like walking away with all of his prints. He's like, "Yep, that's the guy that's gonna illustrate it."
That's adorable. Did he ask him at that point, or did he just buy all the things and walk away going, "Yep, that's the guy"?
I have no idea. I think he
Someone
like
pointed
called
him over there.
later.
Yeah. We have the book.
Right, it was pretty hilarious.
That's good. Yeah, I really enjoy his art because I think a lot of comics like don't even try to do black and white stuff anymore. Like the comic I brought, it's all black and white, but like I love black and white stuff. I think it can be like sometimes more emotive than color because I feel like when you put color in it, it's just like you. I feel like you can fuck up with color a lot. You can also do a lot of stuff with mood with color that you probably can't do with black and white. But it's also easy to fuck up too. So it's like, if you paint a room red and it's supposed to be like a really like not dramatic scene, like it's going to have like more of a live mood to it than like if you were trying to have like a somber moment then. So it's either, you could use that to juxtapose like interestingly, but if you're not trying to do that, like you can kind of fuck stuff up like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like black and white, it's like, just make it more dark, make it more light, or you can do interesting stuff like that, where it's like that the scene in the book that's the assault scene where it's just like it's really bright in here. Oh, bad stuff's going on. That's not good. But it's interesting juxtapositions in that way.
The blood's always realer too. Like,
You think so?
I think so. I mean, because it's subjective. So in all of I think every one of us has a different experience of, I don't know, blood or whatever, but being able to put your own personal experience into it and use that chiaroscuro black and white thing for your own, I don't know, it makes the drama so much more heightened. Like,
I don't know about that because I finally got my Invincible from Gabby. And like it's been a while since I read it. I finally read like the 7th, like, pretty big book. And like I think Invincible does a really good job of like the shock of blood. Because it is a very like bright and colorful comic book, but when there's blood, it's like there is blood and guts and everything everywhere, and it's so like surprising because the rest of it's not like that. Like they do it in a very specific way, so it's shocking when you see it. And I don't think it would have that same impact if it was in black and white. So
I think it really depends on who is doing what. Like I know with Alfred Hitchcock, when he was doing black and white films, he would only use like black paint for blood because it was darker.
Chocolate sauce or something like that they used a lot back then too.
Yeah, like but he would never use red because it never showed up dark enough.
Yeah.
It would never be like scary enough. And but like you have different comics or different movies where the color can be really like shocking, like in like Sweeney Todd. Like the blood is red, like it is red. It's like overly ridiculous, and that was done on purpose so that it was like, it was cartoony, but at the same time it was shocking, and like you didn't know how to feel about it. Like, oh, there's this woman, she has blood pouring down her neck all over her body, like, but it's not real looking because it's just so red, like, you know, and there's like a lot of conflict in it. And I think just depending on where your skills lie as an artist would change how your use of color would be affected, or your use of black and white.
But I think that color can also like convey certain things too, like the book Ecstatics. Like, it's all, like, very pastel-y, very, like, bright, vibrant colors. But the context is, like, really dark and grim. So there's, like, this real, like, juxtaposition between what you're seeing and what you're reading and what's actually going on in the story. Because, like, in the first, like, couple of comics, spoiler a little bit, but, like, everybody dies. Just, like, out of nowhere. Just, like, everyone's dead, and then you have, like, one person left. And it's, like, so, like, vibrant. It's, like, shocking. It's another, like, shock to see that actually happened.
Yeah, I think something with that, like, I don't think I've read Invincible, but that uses a lot of, like, blues and yellows, and the color palette's, like, not really got a lot of red into it.
Yeah.
I think, so when, like, the red does show up, it's going to be a lot more, noticeable when you have, like, you know, just, like, normal colors that, like, don't really contain a lot of red. And the same thing with, like, Sweeney Todd. I think that, like, it's kind of, like, desaturated a little bit. Like, there's a lot of, like, browns and grays and stuff, so when red shows up, it's like, boom, red!
Yeah.
Like, whoa, damn! So, like, that also, like, can contribute a lot to, like, the effect something can have, like, you know, any kind of colors. Same thing with, like, Whiteout, because if you have, like, a really dark page, and then you have, like, boom, white, you're like, whoa, blood, oh my gosh, or, like, even if it's just, like, a really white page and a lot of black, suddenly, like, it can, like, sort of convey the same thing, but not necessarily in the same way that a color thing can convey. So long as you're not using that color so much, like, it becomes more, it pops out more when it does show up.
It's a sort of absence makes the heart grow fonder sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes it more, it makes it all the more vibrant and noticeable.
Do we want to move on to our recommendations now?
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So I brought in Lock and Key by Joe Hill. Pretty much this family moves to Lovecraft and into this house called the Key House, and there's like a kind of a bunch of weird stuff going on. The adults don't really notice it, but the kids can tell. And then they start finding these keys, and every key does a different thing. Some of them open up your mind, like literally the top of your head comes off and you can look into your mind. There's keys that will take you anywhere. There's keys that will turn you into a ghost. There's a key that turns you into the opposite race. So like if you're white, you're black. If you're black, you're white, sort of a thing. There's also other keys that change your gender. And it's just really cool because it's like the keys are the story, but at the same time there's a lot, because there's so many of them, there's a lot of them that they're just there for fun, sort of a thing. Like they're just messing around with them. Because one of the, like my favorite character, Bodhi, he is like, he's pretty much like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. And he like turns himself into a little bird and stuff, and he's just like constantly messing around. He has the ghost key, and he like will float through his brother's shower and then have the water pass through him so that the water goes ice cold. And he's just like messing around with people constantly. But there's like sort of a creature down in the well, and she wants the Omega key, which is like the all-powerful sort of a thing. So it's like these kids are fighting off this demon woman man. If you read it, it makes sense why I'm referring to both, because she is both. So they're fighting it off, and the parents don't listen to them. The adults don't know what's going on. Any adult that knew about it forgets about it, kind of, once they reach a certain age or a certain level of maturity. So it's just really interesting to see like how these younger characters are dealing with like the ultimate evil.
You go in a circle?
That's what I thought.
I'll go next. All right. So I brought I Kill Giants. It's basically the story about a girl named Barbara Thorson, and she kills giants. But she basically she's like a regular schoolgirl, and she's like really completely like engrossed in this this sort of like alternate life that she has, sort of, where she's like a giant slayer, because like giants are supposedly like out there and they're gonna like, you know, fuck everything up, and she's like, she believes that she's like the only person out there or something like that that can like protect everybody, but everybody else is just like, girl, you're crazy, girl, what's going on? And she just like gets in trouble a lot for it. She kind of lives sort of alone with her sister. She kind of like, she's taken care of by her sister at home, and she kind of like she retreats into this fantasy a lot to basically kind of deal with the problems around her, though it's not really expressed immediately in the story. It's kind of that she has this sort of fantasy coping mechanism for the problems that she has in her life. But it's the way that it's handled is just like, I really love it. Because she's so engrossed with what she does, and she like is so I guess, oh gosh, I don't know, she's very passionate about killing giants, even though everybody around her's like, what are you talking about? Oh my god. But like her struggle with like killing these giants and like just like all the stuff that's like going on in her life is just like them tying together it's like really interesting. And god, I don't know, I feel like I should have read more of it before, because I read it a while ago, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bring this one, it's so good. I can't remember a lot of the details now. So I started reading it again, and I'm like, should I go do podcasts? I don't want to spoil too much of it, too, from what I do remember, because they were like more important parts. Fuck. Yeah, she's just kind of like, I don't know, she's kind of like this little kind of geeky girl. Like there's a scene, like, just really just kind of archetypal, kind of, like, geeky young girl who's kind of, like, a sort of an outcast. Like, there's a scene where she's, like, on the bus. You can see that she is reading a Dungeons & Dragons monster manual. I think that's pretty much where she gets all the ideas about the giants. And there are just these other girls, like, sitting on the bus, and they're like, oh, yeah, my mom never eats carbs. Yeah, because I really want to have a belly shirt, because, you know, belly shirts are really cool. Ooh, can you do my hair like Britney's? Oh, man. And it's just, like, she gets home, and she's just, like, she lifts up her shirt and, like, looks at her stomach, and she's just, like, oh, these girls are so dumb. I hate them so. And she's like, there's like this rumbling from upstairs in the upstairs of her house, where she just won't go. She like won't go to the upstairs of her house, and she like retreats into her basement, because that's where her little like fortress, her like planning fortress is for all of her like giant killing exploits. So like that's the kind of like the person that like she is, and the whole story is about her and like any kind of friendship that she does end up making, and then like sort of the failures of that friendship because of the way that she behaves, and how like sort of almost trapped in this fantasy that she is. To the end.
Cool. So I brought Empowered today, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's the best book ever, because it's not, but
I'm voting for that book.
Well, like it's really special to me, because it's the first comic book that I actually like read and like really got into. But essentially, it's about the superheroine that has to run around in the skin tight suit that gives her powers, and then it's tissue thin, so it's constantly like ripping and stuff. And it's kind of like making fun of comics and how like women are so like objectified in it and stuff, because she's so objectified constantly. Like she's constantly getting like tied up and thrown around, and she just keeps like doing it because she feels it's the right thing to do. And it also plays around with like the gender issues too. Like there's I'm not sure if it's in this one, but in one of the later books, like there's a part where she's in the hospital, and of course the nurses are dressed all sexy, and then the male nurses are dressed exactly the same as the female nurses. Like there's no difference between them. So it just kind of like plays around with that sort of thing. And it's also kind of about her like feeling comfortable in her own skin, like having to realize that even though she's like totally exposed, she still needs to do the right thing and, you know, figure out her powers and stuff like that. So that's why I brought it, was because I think it's a good read, but maybe not like the best read ever, but I think everyone should read it because it is really silly and there's always like funny things that happen. Like she does have a boyfriend and there's like a whole like issue where he talks about how cute she is when she farts at night. And so that's my book.
My husband says I fart like a howitzer. So I'm still kind of like waffling. I think I'm gonna go with Terry Moore Echo. But I brought Battle Pope because Battle Pope is awesome. Battle Pope is after the apocalypse or after the rapture, and the Pope is an asshole, and Jesus is a hippie, and God is kind of like, he's God, but I don't know. It's awesome because it's kind of like, let's throw the institution of religion on its ass. And Bomb Queen, Woman of Mass Destruction, lots of TNA in there, but the villain is the good guy kind of thing. Like you want to root for the bad guy, which in this case is this woman that's just like freewheeling, barely wears anything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's awesome. and there's penis in Bomb Queen, which I think is like,
that
yeah,
gets my vote.
I think that, yeah. I mean, it's hardly ever shown.
More boobies, more dicks.
Exactly. Scalped, Indian Country by Vaughn. Introduction by Vaughn. It's Jason Aaron. Prodigal Son. Mom's really active on the res and gets killed, and then he's got to figure out why. The Stuff of Legend, but but I think Terry Moore in Echo is really good. Strangers in Paradise is awesome, but it's what drew me to Terry Moore is that he draws women, like real women, like sexy at all sorts of stages in life, and there is not a specific face that everybody has throughout the thing.
You mean like he doesn't draw like same face?
Yeah.
Like fucking Campbell or whoever he is. What's this guy's first name?
J. Scott Campbell.
J. Scott Campbell. Oh, fuck his drawings. It's like he's got a dress-up doll that he just like changes the clothes and hair on. I hate it. Like, I fucking hate it. Like, even from just an artistic point of view, I'm like, dude, you have a doll maker and you're just fucking changing the clothes on this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Terry Moore. The lines are phenomenal. I think he learned how to draw, like as an architect, maybe. I don't know, but that's kind of like what the style kind of looks like. He has just some great compositions. Anyway, Echo's about a woman who's going through a lot in her life personally, but's out photographing Moon Lake when another woman is blown to smithereens up high up in the atmosphere, and she's wearing this amazing suit and a jetpack, and the suit is a polymer. It's like this like ballistics polymer or something. So when she's nuked in the test, the suit disintegrates and falls down like rain, and then sticks to whatever it falls onto. And the protagonist is covered in these little polymer dots that activate and then form a suit. And so it's about this kind of average woman who doesn't really have her shit together, and suddenly she's given superpowers. So I think it's a pretty good read.
Cool.
This is the point where we were
Presidential
voting.
voting time.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Comic books 2013.
I think I'm kind of torn between two of them, but I think I'm going to cast my vote for I Kill Giants.
Yes. Makes me feel good. I feel like I'm getting voted for. I think I might vote for Lock and Key.
Yes.
I think I was gonna cast my vote for I Killed Giants, although
Oh wait, I
Locke
was supposed to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Son of a
Yeah.
bitch. I still vote for this one even if my vote doesn't count.
So what's your vote?
Oh, I did I Killed Giants.
Okay. So
You need to vote for Lock and Key to show somebody that it can happen.
wait, so 2 votes for Lock and Key at this point?
No, just
No,
one.
one
Just
vote.
one?
And 2 for I Kill Giants.
Oh.
No.
So mine's the throwaway vote, huh?
Sorry. That was my fault.
Damn. If it's a throwaway, I'm going with Echo. Gotta make a stand. So
Cool.
it's I Kill Giants.
win.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just got so caught up in going around.
I know,
I'm
right?
like, it's my turn, I guess.
I know, so I was wondering how it was going to end up working out. I was like, and there we go.
I fucking forgot. Right then, I win.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
the president of the fan club.
So this is that like that's how we wrap it up?
The end. Good night, everybody.
That was perfect wrap up.
View from the gutters with a
Yeah.
bow.
Perfect ending. 10 out of 10. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
On this episode, we discuss Whiteout. And to skip ahead to the recommendation... Well, you don't have a number. You don't have
I don't have a number yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
have to do that at the end.
Oh.
So I'll have to cut you, and then you can just go 24, 38.
24. Do you want me to say all the numbers?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20, 11, 12, 13,
No, not yet. I recorded it all, so it's in there.
30, 40, 50,
Perfect. Cool.
60,
Nope.
70.
Stop. All right.